Hey, this is Justin Kantor. Is this Cheryl?
Yes,
Hey,
yes.
how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you really good.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to do this. I was really excited when the possibility of writing the liner notes for this reissue was presented to me because I kind of grew up with, the sounds of Climaxx and well, so I did read a little bit on the website you have for Climaxx just about your beginnings, and I saw that um, you had started taking guitar lessons around age 11. So I was wondering um, what prompted that, and tell me a little bit about what styles you studied, and then at what point did you start maybe thinking about it as an actual career, like, or such.
Well, it's interesting. My mom would always give me a toy guitar every other Christmas.
Okay.
So yeah, I always had some sort of guitar around me. And my sister, who's actually like 16 years older than I am, she married a jazz musician by the name of Hubert Laws,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and he was on tour with Mongo Santa Maria, and they were at my parents' house, and he is a professional flautist,
Right.
but he happened to have his guitar there at my mom's house, and so I was excited about seeing a real guitar, so I went and got my little toy guitar,
Mm-hmm.
and as fate or as the universe makes things happen, my guitar happened to be tuned to a TV theme song, and I was playing it,
Uh-huh.
and all of a sudden jumped up and said, "Hey, why don't we get Cheryl some guitar lessons?" And so they got guitar lessons for me for a month to see if I would like it,
Oh,
and
okay.
like I said, there was just the two of us in my family, so I didn't have any siblings at home to play with, so the guitar was kind of my playmate,
So this was
and
your sister that said that you should get a real guitar.
yeah,
Okay. And so
uh
she
huh.
was she was grown up by that point.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Okay.
she actually met Hubert at Juilliard because she studied choreography and he studied music.
Oh, okay. Oh, she met Hubert there. Okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Okay.
So from there, I took private lessons, and I actually I there was no guitar courses or study or anything of in junior high
Mm-hmm.
as I went on through school, but when I got to high school, my high school teacher had a like what they at the time they would call a Motown orchestra, meaning that it had all the orchestra instruments, a
Mm.
violin, horns, but it also had the the kick, the drum kit,
Mm-hmm.
the popular drum kit, uh, electric bass and guitar.
Okay.
And so I was able to take music in high school, and there, I really learned the majority of my musical theory training in high school because I had a teacher that basically took me under his wing and taught me everything I could absorb as far as music theory was concerned. And still
Okay.
at the same time, I was taking private guitar lessons. So
Mm-hmm.
by the time I was in my senior year, I was writing musical charts for the marching band every football game.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, so by the time I got out of high school, I knew how to orchestrate it, write an orchestration, arrange, write music. I just the majority of my musical knowledge had really come from my high school years.
Mm.
So by the
And
time I got to college, and yeah,
so I just want to clarify. It was the orchestra
yeah.
there at high school was actually called like a Motown orchestra, or was it
Well,
just kind
well,
of in the?
yeah, that's kind of the format. That's not really an official name. That's just
Okay,
kind of the
okay,
format at that
gotcha.
time.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was kind of based
Mhm.
on that. Okay,
Right.
so
Uh-huh.
and then I was reading that you ended up at Los Angeles City College where you got an interesting degree in commercial music.
Yeah, now at the time, again, the kind of electronic instruments in an orchestra was a new thing. So
Mm,
there was no four-year college that I could go to at the time in the Los Angeles area where I could study what they call commercial music, or commercial music is actually the word for like jazz or R&B or rock music. You know, there's two types of music: commercial music and classical music.
Right. Okay. So they were that was their distinction. It didn't have anything to do with other specifics. It was just popular versus classical. Okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So at the time, I could only go as far as a 2-year degree, which is a associated arts, an AA degree in commercial music, because that's what I wanted to do. I mean, I knew deep down in my feelings, my soul, whatever you want to call it, that I was going to be a star. That was my goal in life. I did not disbelieve on any level that it wasn't going to happen for me. So I went to school specifically to learn all I could about music. But at the same time, I was in different cover bands, you know, in the Los Angeles area.
Mm-hmm.
I studied what they call a dance band, or a band that plays music, you know, kind of sitting down in an orchestra kind of thing in Compton, California. They had a community Compton band there that I played at. Okay. So my life path was always music. Yeah. So I finished my my AA degree in college, and you know, Hubert and all of those jazz musicians, they constantly told me, if you don't know how to read and write music, you're not going to eat. So that was my focus. I had to know how to read. I had to know how to write. I had to know how to play by ear, play by sight, because they constantly programmed that into me, that I had to know all these things if I want. And at the time, that's how they made their living. They had to know how to read. They had to know how to write. Right. So that was in that time. And really, things started to change because, you know, a little fast forward, and I'll go backwards. When I stepped into Klymaxx, nobody knew how to read music but me.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
So it was like, you know, all of that musical knowledge somewhat kind of fell to the wayside because, you know, the 80s pop thing kind of came in and everything was by ear or by feel.
Right.
But still having that knowledge was what I used to help Klymaxx get the soul off.
So tell me, how did you actually come? Because I think I was seeing on the site that originally, was it called Klymaxx AFB, like all female band? I guess that stands for. Was that what the full name was? Or I mean, that was just a curiosity. But how did you actually come into contact with them? Because if I'm correct, it was something that originally Bernadette had started in high school. With different members and so forth. Tell me about your coming into the group and, you know, how that started for you.
Okay, well, like I said, I was playing in different cover bands, and I was actually rehearsing in a room where Bernadette and some of the other girls were rehearsing. Okay. But the girls rehearsing with her at the time, none of them are on any of the commercialized pictures. Okay. That you see. Okay. Mm-hmm. So they happened to look in the window and they saw this girl playing guitar, and they basically walked in and said, "Hey, you don't want to play with this band? You want to come play with our band? We have an all-female band called Climax." Okay. Gotcha. So, you know, again, you know, with the musical training that I had, literally, I mean, I looked at them and say, I know these girls can't play. I'm not going to go to their rehearsal, you know. So that was kind of on a Tuesday, I'll say. Okay. Okay, and this makes a big difference. So they came into the rehearsal room on Tuesday. I didn't call, and on Wednesday, no, I didn't call. The next day would have been Wednesday, and I got the guilt. Okay. Kept gnawing at my soul. You know, you should have called. And so finally, I picked up the phone. Remember, it's not cell phones now. We all. Oh no. Yeah, of course. Yeah. So I called Bernadette and I said, you know, I'm sorry I missed the rehearsal that you had. When's your next rehearsal? And so she said, oh, it's tomorrow, Friday. And I was like, oh, man, I couldn't get out of it. Oh, yeah. It was like a serious garage band that I just like, oh, God, take this. But anyway, I went to the rehearsal, and, you know, we all kind of started jamming together and playing some songs. And I knew they weren't at the same musical level I was, but the thing that kept me there was they were having fun. They were all having fun playing music, picking songs and stuff like that. And there was one situation where, I said, well, why don't we play some of the songs that are on the radio now? So I went home and I wrote out the chart for the song Ladies Night by Kool and the Gang. And I wrote everybody's part out, the drums, the bass, the keyboard. We didn't have keyboards. We had 2 guitars and a bass. And so I wrote it all out and gave their sheet music. And everybody kind of looked at it like, okay. And I said, okay, we're going to start. 1, 2. And so they kind of try to, act like they were playing or whatever, fumbling around. And so then it dawned on me, they don't know how to read music.
Right.
All that training that Hubert and them pumped into me that you got to know how to read, it wasn't true in that room.
Mm-hmm.
So as opposed to embarrassing anybody, I said, you know what, maybe I wrote it wrong. Let me play for you what I wrote on the paper. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Yeah, that was a good save.
Right. Right. So, there was another couple of personnel changes. And then by the time we kind of had our own little band thing happening. And I knew from listening or learning from Hubert that, we had to have a promo picture. We had to have a demo tape. We had to have a bio if we wanted to shop it around to different record companies. So we put this little promo package together and made a little demo tape in an 8-track studio at the time, because that was a big thing, an 8-track studio.
Right, yeah. Very different times.
Right. So then we had this package, and then the bass player that was in the band at the time, Denise, I can't believe I forgot her name. I have to look it up. But
okay.
She started sending out these packages, to different record companies. Of course, they're professional people. They can look at the picture and hear the tape, and it's like, I don't think I'm a pass.
Right.
So I was working in a bank at the time while I was also playing in different bands, and I was telling my supervisor about this all-girl band I was in, and I showed her the picture and everything, and she said, well, give me a package and, give me a demo tape, and I'll give it to my uncle. He's a producer for Peebo Bryson by the name of Johnny Pate. So I said, okay. So I, went back and told the band, we got to get this package together and everything. So I gave her the package. She gave it to Johnny Pate. Johnny Pate had a meeting with us. And, of course, he's at a high professional level. And to not hurt our feelings, he was like, well, it's not really that good, so why don't you go back into the studio and try it again?
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool.
So it just so happened he was having lunch with a lady by the name of Margaret Nash, who was one of the vice presidents at Solar Records.
No.
Yeah, I think she mainly worked in the publishing part.
Oh, publishing, okay.
Yeah,
because they had a lot of stuff going on, yeah.
Yeah, but I do think she was one of the vice presidents also. But, yeah, so he gave her the tape, and, she said, an all-female band, that's a great idea. So she took the tape, and the very next day she called me on my job and said, I want to come down and listen to your rehearsal, see you guys. I'm Margaret Nash at Solar Records. I'm interested in your band. So the next rehearsal she came down, and she was all smiles. I mean,
wow.
She sat through the whole rehearsal and she really enjoyed it. So my greatest point here is that, when one door closes, meaning, Johnny Pate didn't see the bigger picture, another door opens, which was Margaret Nash, who opened up the door for us to Solar Records.
Yeah.
And so the next week, I think she brought Dick Griffey, and he heard the band and he heard the potential, and we were signed within months. We were signed to the record deal within months.
That's great.
And, I mean, yeah, we weren't a band that, I don't want to say sacrifice, but we weren't a band that went through months and years of trying to get a record deal, it was almost like, the universe, fate, God, whatever you believe in, just kind of laid out the whole pathway for us to happen.